Greetings. This is Paul the Poke from paulthepoke.com. Today's topic, Sabbatical Year or a Shemitah. And this is part one of a series. I'm going to have 5 installments in the series. And I think this was originally posted about 7 years ago, arguably during the last sabbatical or Shemitah year. Now, if the marking of time is correct, and that's always very conditional when we go to look at what's accurate in regards to timekeeping from a human standpoint, we're not real good at it. But just looking at how things have gone down geopolitically and economically, I think you can make a pretty good argument that this sabbatical year has just started and will end in the fall of 22. And if that's correct, this will mark the 10th complete set of 7 for Israel since they became a nation again in 1948. Now, as Jews mark time, this Shemitah year began on the Feast of Trumpets, or Teruah, Rosh Hashanah, whichever one you want to call it, on the sighting of the new moon, September 8th, 2021, and that's on our solar-based Gregorian calendar. Now, this would be the first of Tishri on a Hebrew calendar. Now, granted, Tishri's the 7th month, and it's a civil new year as Jews mark the calendar. But the bottom line is the land is supposed to rest during a sabbatical or a Shemitah year. And the violation of this statute is the reason Israel was under God's judgment as detailed by Daniel 9 and 70 sevens or 70 sets of 7. And arguably, that's not arguably, there is one more to go. There's one set of 7. 69 have been fulfilled. We're waiting on the 70th one, and it's going to be a dandy. But below is the law as given to Moses by the Lord himself in Leviticus 25, verses 1 through 7. And we'll just take a look at the text itself. The Lord then spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel, and say to them, when you come into the land which I shall give you, then the land shall have a Sabbath to the Lord. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in its crop. But during the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath rest, a Sabbath to the Lord. You shall not sow your field, nor prune your vineyard. Your harvests after growth you shall not reap, and your grapes of untrimmed vines you shall not gather. The land shall have a sabbatical year. All of you shall have the Sabbath products of the land for food, yourself, your male and female servants, and your hired man, and your foreign resident, those who live as aliens with you. Even your cattle and the animals that are in your land shall have all its crops to eat." So, these were the words given to Moses, approximately 3,500 years ago from today. And this is part of the ceremonial law, yet it still has practical applications for Jews today. God wants his people to be holy or separate. God's people should separate themselves from others by their behavior. So the word Sabbath in the Hebrew is transliterated. It's also Sabbath in the English, and the term's equated with rest. It's to be set apart, sacred, holy. It's rest, Sabbath rest. Exodus 23, verses 10 through 11, another restatement of this of this law. You shall sow your land for 6 years and gather in its field, but on the 7th year you shall let it rest and lie fallow, so that the needy of your people may eat, and whatever they leave, the beast of the field may eat. You are to do the same with your vineyard and your olive grove. So you shall let it rest. And that is the Hebrew word shemat. And Strong's Concordance defines it as to release, let drop or loose or rest or fall. The Jewish people also refer to this as Shemitah. It literally means to release. So take a look at Exodus 15, verses 1 and 2. At the end of every 7 years, you shall grant a remission of debts, This is the same manner of remission. Every creditor shall release what he has loaned to his neighbor. He shall not exact it of his neighbor and his brother, because the Lord's remission has been proclaimed. So there is a remission of debts. And in the original Hebrew text of debts is not present. It was not present, and it's added by translators. So it's just like a remission. Shemitah is the Hebrew word for remission. And Shemitah, again, the base words, Shemat. Shemitah is defined by Strong's as a cancellation of debts, letting drop of exaction, remitting, release from debt is the idea. And again, the word Shemitah comes from the root word Shemat, and the land is supposed to rest for 1 year. The remission of debt will occur on the last day of the year. And a year from now, that'll be in the fall of 2022, or at the beginning of the Hebrew civil New Year 5783. So historically challenging geopolitical and economic circumstances arise during sabbatical or Shemitah years. And we'll probably look at some of that later. Plenty of stuff out there on the internet. You start clicking back 7 years. So, 2015, we had some economic hardship in Europe. 2008, we had all the mortgage crisis here in the United States. 2001 was part of the dot-com bubble. 94, I think, was a savings and loan scandal. 87 was, was a Black Monday. The stock market crashed like 30% in one day as in 1987. And just keeps going back, again, picking off 7 years at a time. So, and that's why I think I think you can make a pretty good circumstantial argument that once we get through this Shemitah year that just started and closes out in the fall of 2022, that will be the end of the sabbatical set of 7, or the 7th year in this set. And again, this is the 10th complete sabbatical set that will be completed since Israel's been in the land. Going back to 1948, that was in the middle of a sabbatical set, and I think the original one started in 1952, if I'm not mistaken. That'd be about right. That'd be 70. That's correct. So if we, 2022 minus 1952, 70. So that'd be 10 sets of 7. And I know a lot of the gematria folks, the 11th set would speak to upheaval, tribulation, and then the 12th set would speak to like a rebirth, as they see it in numerology terms in gematria. And the idea is that a Hebrew letter has a corresponding number and meaning, and those things from a numerical standpoint matter as well. So interesting year coming up, and each passing year seems to be more and more interesting the further we go down this whole thing. So, and again, this is the first installment of 5, and we're going to just take a look at various things. And I found an article or two. It's like the government's making provision for the sabbatical year. Marijuana farmers have some concerns, making sure that people are able to get their medical marijuana. How they engage that during a sabbatical year was something I came across. So we'll be watching. We'll be paying attention. Appreciate you guys following along. And again, if you enjoy this, please feel free to share with others at paulthepoke.com. Type in your email address, hit subscribe. You'll receive a notification every time we put something out. And this is categorized under prophecy, Paul the Poke, and more about the keywords: Deuteronomy 15, Exodus 23, the law, Leviticus 25, etc. So appreciate you guys following along. Take care and have a good one. Bye.